Hello everybody and welcome to a tutorial. Yes, I'm going to be doing some tutorials. This is going to be a series of sort of audio guides for Let's Players. Because I know that I know that most people do this as a hobby. Most people are amateurs, so they may not know some of these things. So I'm here to educate and I'm here to demonstrate. That's what I'm here to do. And I figure the first video in this series should be, a pretty basic issue that everybody runs into is what type of microphone should you use? And I'm hoping this video will help, address some of those questions and some of those concerns about different type of microphones. So I'm gonna be doing some comparisons between the microphone that I use for my recordings and a couple others that I just happen to have lying around that someone may want to use for their recording, and I'm gonna be demonstrating why that may not be a particularly good idea. Now, the audio that you're hearing right now is being recorded with, as I said, the microphone that I use for my recording. This is the Audio Technica ATR 2500. This is a basic USB microphone. I got it on Amazon for maybe $60. Not particularly expensive, but for that price, it is very good. It's got very good frequency range. You can hear the low tones nice and clearly. You can also hear the high tones very well, like those S sounds in my voice. Those are very well pronounced. It could be better, but on its own, the sample is the audio sample is pretty good. Now, I haven't edited this at all. Normally, I would do some equalization and some compression, but this for the demonstration purposes of this video. All of the audio is going to remain clean and completely unedited, completely no cleanup whatsoever, purely for demonstration purposes. So now let's check out a different type of mic. Now here's a microphone that you're probably sure to run into. This is a mic from a webcam. Now, I myself am not personally a fan of Facecam, but I know some people like it, and I know that a lot of people use it. And since you may be using your webcam to record your face, to record your reactions, you may be inclined to use the microphone from that webcam. Now, as clearly you should be able to hear just no. No, do not do that. This sounds like it just sounds like pure awful. The bass quality is not particularly good. It's not picking up the low tones very well, and the reason for that is that the diaphragm inside the microphone is so tiny that those bass tones are just not are not making an impact on it. And so the low tones sound awful, and the high tones sound awful as well. Just for the reason of it being farther away from my face. This is a good 2-3 feet away, a reasonable distance that you would be using to record your face at. And the other issue, which stems from the same aspect of it being far away, is the echo, the reverb that you can hear. You hear a lot of room noise here. It's because by the time my voice gets to the microphone, it's already had time to bounce around the room. So you're hearing this awful reverb, as well as this weird sort of I guess grainy, staticky sort of background noise that's typical of webcam microphones, because webcam microphones are pieces of shit. They're not meant for recording of this nature. They're meant just for like Skyping and things like that, just a regular conversation between two people. You should absolutely never use your microphone on the webcam, the built-in microphone on the webcam, to record your voice. It's just an awful idea. It's not at all recommended, and you get the same results from the built-in mic that might be on your laptop. In fact, that's probably a lot worse. So yeah, just don't do it.
Okay, moving on to something else now. This should sound very familiar to most of you. This is the microphone from a typical gaming headset. It's not a particularly good one. It's not at all fancy. In fact, I didn't pay for this at all. So it's pretty cheap. Your results may vary with more expensive headsets, but if you're going to buy an expensive gaming headset for Let's Play recording, that's that's kind of going a step in the wrong direction. If you got the money to spend on a fancy gaming headset, you might as well just buy a microphone. So chances are, if you're using a headset for your recordings, this is the type of headset that you'd be using. Now, the main reason this sounds awful is just the frequency range that it's capable of picking up. It's not at all intended for recording use. This is just for, chatting to someone in game, where you don't need super high quality. You just need to be able to tell what they're saying. Like a basic telephone connection, basically. So the low tones don't sound particularly good, and that's also partly because the microphone is so close to my face, and there's scientific reasons about wavelengths and such, but it basically boils down to, if your microphone is too close to the source of the sound, it's not going to pick up low tones very well. So this headset mic is not doing that particularly well. It's not picking up high tones very well either, because it's just a crappy mic. And there's also sort of similarly to the webcam mic, but not quite the same as I'm sure you can hear. But there's also a staticky little background noise that's going on, and stuff like that can be removed with a little bit of editing. But it's going to take a lot of editing to make this recording into something that is pleasing to the ear, something that is that at least in my mind is an acceptable quality. It's possible to accomplish with a lot of editing and a lot of tinkering and a lot of different effects, but really it's a lot easier just to use a proper microphone.
So now you've heard the difference. Now you know why you should use a proper microphone, because those other two just sound horrible. And even without any editing whatsoever to the audio, this simple, relatively cheap USB microphone outperform it 1,000 times easily. This is relatively easy to listen to. There's a little bit of background noise. It could use a little bit of equalizing. It could definitely use some compression, and we will cover those things in later videos. But by itself, this audio is acceptable. With those other two devices, with the webcam mic and with the headset mic, that is certainly not the case. Those are just horrible to listen to, and now you know that. Now that has been demonstrated. So please stop using those microphones. Your videos will turn out a lot better if the audio in your commentary sounds decent, if it isn't a pain to listen to. And audio is extremely important, especially the audio of your commentary, because that's what we watch the videos for. We're not just there to watch gameplay videos, we're there to listen to your commentary. And so treat your commentary well, treat it nicely, make it sound good, make it something that you can be proud of, not this grainy, limited, just crap recorded with a webcam mic. So yeah, that's it. Use a good microphone.